Hello, everyone. Still on variation. You are welcome to my online teaching. Akeem. We are still going to continue solving problem on variation. But the one we are going to consider now is inverse variation. And when you are talking about inverse variation, this is a type of variation that deals with that shows relationship between two quantities, but in this case one quantity increase. When a particular quantity increase, the other one will decrease, and vice versa. As you can see from the definition of inverse variation, that inverse variation is the opposite of direct variation, because in direct variation, when a particular quantity increases, the other one do what? Also increases. But in inverse variation, when one increases, the other will always decreases. Now let's solve the question on the board. If y varies inversely as the square root of x, y varies inversely. That means we are going to have y varies inversely. We are going to introduce our proportionality sign. Inversely means that we are going to have 1 all over the other quantity. So we have 1 all over the square root of x. We have that. Now, we already have the relationship on the board, but you know the relationship is not complete when you are having proportionality sign there. So what we need to do now is to change this proportionality sign into equality sign, and by doing so we are going to introduce a constant which will also be an alphabet, but it must be different from the alphabet of the two quantities that you are talking about, that you are dealing with. So now if I change this now to equality sign, that means I'm going to have y is now equal to k all over root x. I have this. So from here, I need to get my k. I need to get the value of my k for the relationship between y and x to be complete. So I need to make k as the subject of formula. If I make k and k the subject of formula, that means I'm going to cross multiply. If you cross multiply what I have here now, my k times 1 will give us k, and will now be equal to y root x. So from here, make use of the first values of y and x for you to get your k. We are given that y is equal to 5 and x is equal to 16. So we are going to substitute that into this. So if you do that, you are going to have our y is 5 times root of 16, and the root of 16 is 4. So you have 5 times 4. So our k now will now be equal to 20. That means the relationship now will now be y is now equal to 20 all over root x. This is the relationship that we are going to use to solve any question that is related to this particular question. Now let's go to the A part of the question. They said we should find y when x is equal to 100. That means we are going to substitute this x. We are going to represent this x with this 100. So my y now will now be equal to 20 all over the square root of 100. What is the square root of 100? That will give us 10. So we have a 0 we cancel. So our y now will now be equal to 2. Then we are done with the first solution. Then for the second solution, we are given the value of y, and we are asked to find the value of x. How can we get the value of x? That means we are going to have y, still using that relationship. Okay, we are giving y. That means we are going to have 60 for this y is now equal to 20 all over root x. What are we going to do? We can cross multiply. But the cross multiplication that we are going to do here is that x will go there, Why this one will come here? If you do that, we are going to have, if you do that, we are going to have root x, or we can, let's cross multiply. If we cross multiply, we have 60 root x is now equal to 20. I can divide both sides by 20. If I divide both sides by 60, is 0 we cancel, 6 we cancel, is 0 we cancel, 0 we cancel, 2 here is 1, 2 here is 3. So my root x will now be 1 all over 3. What will I do? I actually need the value of x, not the square root of x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by, I am going to square both sides. So I'll write square both sides. If I square both sides, that means I'm going to have root x squared is now equal to 1 all over 3 square. If I should square this now, the roots and the square, they will cancel each other. That means I'm going to have my x now will now be 1 all over 9. As we can see, you cannot solve question on variation without having a knowledge of change of subject or formula. We are going to stop here again. In our next episode, we are going to solve question on either joint or partial variation.